Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. In this video, I'll go over some scripture and personal wellness. Throughout the week, I do post reels with specific topics: Muscle Monday, Tinker Tuesday, Whip Wednesday, Tummy Thursday, Family Friday, and Spa Saturday. Jumping into scripture, I will review 7 chapters with a key verse and applicable takeaway. When I get to personal wellness, we focus on 8 perspectives: mental, physical, spiritual, environmental, emotional, occupational, financial, and social. The goal here is to provide useful content that is concise and engaging. You could even throw it on while you get ready for the day or before bed. We are in 1 Samuel chapters 10 through 16. There were 200 verses. Starting with chapter 10, there were 27 verses and 2 headings: Saul anointed king and Saul proclaimed king. Key verse 19, you have rejected your God, who saves you from all your calamities and your distresses, and you have said to him, set a king over us. The takeaway, wait on God. Moving on to chapter 11, there were 15 verses, 2 headings: Saul defeats the Ammonites and the king is renewed. Key verse 13, the Lord has worked salvation in Israel. The takeaway, we can only win battles through God. Moving on to chapter 12, there were 25 verses and 1 heading: Samuel's farewell address. Key verse 14, if you will fear the Lord and serve him and obey his voice and not rebel against the commandment of the Lord, and if both you and the king who reigns over you will follow the Lord your God, it will be well. The takeaway, God will support the obedient. Moving on to chapter 13, there were 23 verses and 2 headings: Saul fights the Philistines and Saul's unlawful sacrifice. Key verse 12, I have not sought the favor of the Lord, so I forced myself and offered the burnt offering. The takeaway, do not force a response from God. Moving on to chapter 14, there were 52 verses and 3 headings: Jonathan defeats the Philistines, Saul's rash vow, and Saul fights Israel's enemies. There were 2 key verses, starting with 6, it may be that the Lord will work for us, for nothing can hinder the Lord from saving by many or by few. The takeaway, have faith in God. The other key verse, 23, so the Lord saved Israel that day. The takeaway, faith in God brings victory over enemies. Moving on to chapter 15, there were 35 verses and 1 heading, the Lord rejects Saul. There were 2 key verses as well, starting with 3, do not spare them. The takeaway, do not follow anything unbiblical, even in the slightest. The other key verse, 9, but Saul and the people spared. The takeaway, disobeying God has consequences. Moving on to chapter 16, there were 23 verses and 2 headings, David anointed king and David in Saul's service. The key verse, 7, for the Lord sees not as man sees. Man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart. The takeaway, God is all-knowing. Moving on to personal wellness, starting with mental, after completing more tasks, I will meditate on next steps forward, specifically to have clarity and make sure I'm not trying to do too many things at once. Moving on to physical, after tracking results, I will work on getting a little bit more toned and leaner. Moving on to spiritual, after reaching out to attendees, I will schedule reoccurring events. Moving on to environmental, after budgeting more time, I will invest into some shelving. Emotional, after meditating on memories, I will write them down. Occupational, after working more with my team, I will tie off loose ends. Financial, after spending more time preparing meals, I will plan out some restaurant trips. Social, after improving my communication, I will talk less and listen more. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my perspective on scripture and personal wellness. If you enjoyed the content, then I encourage you to like, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and comment on what you liked, didn't like, and want to see more of. I look forward to making this content and want it to be as helpful as possible. Keep a lookout for the daily reels. I hope you have a great week. I love you all. Peace.